The Royal Horticultural Society have said we are in crisis. The industry is lacking youngsters coming through. This is Edgleston Hall Gardens, and over the next 12 months we're going to take you on a journey of what it's like to run a nursery garden. Week 42, and we're definitely getting a sorry looking state now. Well, there is still lots of autumn colour. For example, some of the perennials like these begonias, Tubby Andrews, variegated one, very nice. Flower arrangers love it. They're looking all right. There's plenty of colour, but the grass is getting wet. You can see the tractor is starting to put ruts into it. There is just a tired end of season look now. The perennials, some of the geraniums, we forget, I think Elizabeth pointed this out a week or two back, some of the geraniums have this lovely autumn colour. Galenia trifoliata, the colour on those are absolutely brilliant. It's a time of what I would call russet tones. You know, the earth colours, earthy sort of colours of yellow and brown and red. If we just go round some of the cornice I can see on the bed, there are so many spaces now because these swags were full up earlier in the season, and now they're just well, it's a good thing I suppose, but I am concerned for next year a bit. Cicidophyllums and cornice. This is an interesting thing. The Cicidophyllums seed grown. This is the Catsoras, unlike the one down in the churchyard we saw last week. Look at this compared to the colour of this one. Now, because they're seed grown, there's so much variability. If we wanted to, we have a variety called Lisa Ann. If we wanted to reproduce that one, we would have to graft it. This is a really good example of why we need to graft or take vegetative propagation. They're perfectly fine from seed, but you do get a range of colours. It's starting to rain now as well. Again. And the Cornus alba, you know, the coloured stemmed cornus, you get these wands of coloured stems through the winter. Very nice. Another thing that's sometimes overlooked for autumn colour. These are all various forms of it. You can see the coloured stems. This one's lost its leaves, but this is a variegated form. Look at the colour on these leaves. This is Cornus alba, Siberica variegata. Beautiful colour. And then the more solid coloured ones, the greener ones. This is Siberian pearls. It's nice. There's another one. And there's the straight old Flavoromea that has the green stems in the winter. Lovely. And it's so easy to overlook them. The Cotoneastas are berrying up, and they too can have really nice autumn colour. Little bursts of just bursts of drama this time of the year. Berberis. And something that hasn't turned yet are the blueberries, vacciniums. Look at the colour on that. Hasn't quite gone yet, but it will do. The whole plant will become. There's one over there that's gone, probably a slightly different variety. The pines, as Thomas pointed out, this is quite a big one. They are starting to shed their needles once they've been on there a year or two. The liquid ambers in the pots are just starting to turn. They take longer to turn colour when they're in these pots. There's a different variety there. That's gone a plummy colour. Let's just have a little look what that one is. Yeah, that's another Orientalis. The crab apples, their fruits are just sitting quite happily on there. All the yellow ones have gone. There are 2 beds up here now that are completely empty. A very, very peculiar year. This is a walnut I planted when I first came here, and that's doing really well. It occasionally has a good crop of walnuts in recent years, but they tasted like crap, to be honest. So there's more Cotoneasters over there, Hybridus pendulus, and look at that. There again are a lovely, lovely splash of colour at the this time of year, and the berries hold on the plant very, very nicely, very well. There's a nice holly. We use that for pieces of material. That's one called Madame Brio. Yeah, these conifers, there's big gaps you can see compared to how it was earlier in the year. These are next year's shrubs. They're looking quite good. Again, some are starting to turn. The coloured stem Salix, the Britzensis, hasn't lost its leaves, but as it loses its leaves, the stems ripen and become much, much brighter. Other things that are quite looking interesting, Deciduous Azaleas. I think Elizabeth had a little look at those. But they're little splashes of brightness. And at a time when it's piddling with rain a lot, it's quite nice to see those things. One of the plants that always amazes me is larch. It's a deciduous conifer, and it has, look at that, this is the weeping one, Stiff's pendulus, Dr. Stiff's pendulus, or Stiff's weeper. The colour on that. In spring they also have that gorgeous, fresh, minty green look about them. They're lovely. And there are some ordinary more upright ones. Again, it's Stiff Weeper, but we're training them up taller rather than as a mound. So all in all, it's pretty dramatic this time of the year. So that's a cordylite, not a cordylite, it's a formium. Lisa likes that. I dig the bastard out. I can't stand it. What else have we got? You can see there's a couple of maples here that are just coming past their best. beautiful little, I think that one is Crimson Queen or Ornatum. I honestly, I can't remember now, but they are very nice. Every time we film up here, I say I've got to do something about that yew. One day I'm going to surprise you and it's all going to be done and chopped back. At the moment it's all gob. And then we have some of these lovely maples. Again, this is just another one that's a seedling. It was one called Rosia marginata. It's got another name, but that died out and the rootstock took over. And this is what I mean about the seed-grown roots, Japanese maples. There is absolutely nothing wrong with them. They're just not clones of a fancy variety. But very often, they look lovely. You cannot say that that's not dramatic. And so easy to grow. There's second Sugi, Serium, just turning. And this is red Pygmy. So there's a little drive round the nursery or wander around the nursery. Quickly looking at some autumn colour. I am sure that will be the last time that we do it for that reason. I'm also equally sure that Amanda is going to do some fancy pictures later on. But as I said, it's week 42. Fuck me.
Well, if you can't tell, we've just had a delivery of Conifers, and I'm quite happy. These were all my responsibility. I was given the task of ordering them, and I'm quite happy with my decisions.
You are?
So yeah, this is from, it's just a nursery called Golden Grove. We get more what we call the bread and butter ones. We get obviously our grafted ones that we have to send down ourselves, but with things like Thoya, Chamaecyparis, junipers and the yews, we get them from this place because we just don't have the facilities or the stock plants to take cuttings of all these and grow them on, and they're superb little plants really. Often they never sort of fail to be anything other than fantastic really.
Well, they are specialists, aren't they?
Yeah, they are real conifer specialists, and even though I say they're more bread and butter, they still do some really nice ones like this little golden tuffet, because some of these, although typically some of the grafted ones are fancier and rare and more unusual, a lot of these, there's nothing wrong with them. They're still lovely little plants, particularly some of the junipers. There's this one over here, Blue Star, which is quite an old variety, but it's a fantastic little plant. It's a lovely spreading block of blue, and obviously they do up to this size. So this year we've got a selection of bigger ones, our typical 3 litre size, and as we always get a few little 1 litre ones just to pot and grow on. So these some lovely little yews. It's just little fastigias, sometimes called the Irish yew. But these ones will just probably just get potted on just to grow on for next year really. It's always good. I think last year we just got all 1 litres, but we got them sort of in late summer, whereas obviously this year, just how things have been, we've just been able to get things later, so we've decided to go for a few more established things so we have plenty going into the winter and for next year. We've got a few little different ones. Like we've never had this little juniper here before, Florian. There's a lovely little variegated one. I think sometimes be a bit hitty missy, some of these with the yellow flashes in, but that one actually quite like that one. And then we've got Papoose, which one of Liz's favourites, and it is a beautiful little Sitka spruce. It's one actually that a lot of the spruces don't actually have to be grafted. We just send them down to Matthew because it's easier that way, because these will actually be cutting grown. You just get a bit of a slower, denser plant. And well, trialled as well a few grafted ones from Golden Grove that we've never got before. So there's a little Plantsmans, which one's that little lady, and then we've got Carstens. Something's called Carstens Winter Gold, which is just started to take on its golden tones for the winter. But we've just got these as a trial just to see what they're like really, because occasionally like this one, we don't have a stock plant of this, and I don't think so we can't get any off Matthew, so it's just good to have this as an option. And then this is one I'm quite excited about. It's called Microbiota. It is I've forgotten what the common name of it now. Siberian. I can't remember. It's Siberian something or other. It looks like a juniper very much in how it grows, but for winter it takes on, to be honest, it almost looks dead. The entire thing, apart from these golden flashes, go brown or browny sort of maroon for the winter. I think it's going to be interesting as opposed to beautiful, but I came across it quite a few times when I was down south, and I just thought it'd be quite nice to trial it really.
Yeah.
I think it's got a very interesting.
You can see they're looking.
Yeah, they're obviously this green colour all the way through the growing season, and then for winter they just go fully
dead looking.
Brown, yeah. Winter colour of it looking dead.
And people will buy that, you think?
Well, I hope so, otherwise I'll look like a bit of a tit buying it. But yeah, at the minute you could say I'm happy as a pig in shit at the minute.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Surrounded by all these conifers.
Surrounded by these conifers.
What do you think, Pep?
You can't help but finish off filming the dog, can you?
Well, the thing about dogs is they look, you can be enthusiastic about something and they look completely bored shitless.
That's probably because you are at the minute, isn't it, Pepper?
Yeah, you want to get the gun. Oh, said the G word.
Well, there's been nothing for you to eat, is there?
There is a nice little bunch of fastigiate oak trees, red oaks. They've all been sold. I think there is a dozen of them there, 2 or 3 different varieties with a slight variation. But the oak itself is lovely, and it's just a very upright, erect one. So they're all going to Jocelyn Gore Booth. I'm pleased with that. And there is the Sangukaku maple, which is particularly nice, but it's grown as much for its red stems in the winter. And there is a cornice. And there is a knob end.
What, is it quite your reflection?
He is off for 5 days now.
I need a mental break.
A mental break?
Mental break.
Your whole life is one mental break.
Well, did I need a mental break? I need some sort of mental stimulation for 5 days. I need to awaken myself again.
This stone trough, well, it's not really a stone trough. I made it quite some time ago. It's quite nice. It's made of Hypertufa, and I quite enjoy making them. I used to make quite a lot when I was a bit harder up and I wanted to make a few bob. There's various ways you can make Hypertufa troughs, and one of the there's another one down there actually. That's with a polystyrene box inside it, but it keeps getting hit by the tractor. But it's about 20 years old. They work well once they've weathered down. You can do that within a few months. I've got lots back at Sunnyside, so I'm going to make quite a few of those this winter. I don't really want to do much of the nursery work once this winter's underway. So I'm going to use this glass house for mixing up the mix, the Hypertufa mix. And then I'm going to use some polystyrene boxes, or I'm going to make up some, you can use molds, but they come out, you can use one bowl inside a larger bowl and fill the cavity with Hypertufa. But I'm going to use a very old-fashioned method with just wire netting. And you use that as the reinforcing thing to bind it together. And you just use an old wire netting roll. I'll show you how to do it. It won't be in this video, but yeah, they're quite nice if you want to make them, especially if you are an alpine grower. We've been cleaning out this glass house today and pruning back the rows. Yeah, it's this is the one that Amanda likes, this glass house. She won't like it so much now because it's going to become a little Hypertufa factory. But yeah, we'll make a few. I'm planning to make, this is a little, you just press this wire into shape and then I'll show you later. I need to get back into the swing of it. And the old way of doing it was to mix, if you know the ratios, you can mix peat, sand and cement together, which isn't a problem. And then you just form the troughs. They really work quite well. I've always enjoyed doing them. But there's enough people here now to do the nursery work, and as I'm cranking down, it's something I want to do, because I want to, at Sunnyside, I want to grow quite a lot of troughs of alpines. And if you want to buy stone troughs, genuine stone troughs are very, very expensive, if you can find them. So you might as well just make your own. We'll go more into it next time. It's quite good to, I'll show you them, how we do them. We used to use, as I say, peat, sand and cement, but I'm experimenting now with pine bark. It's a bit more environmentally friendly. Anyway, hopefully you will enjoy watching them and see how it's done. Funny how this pink lupin, it seems to have been in flower all summer. We're right down in this bottom border. He's looking tired, but talking of pink, what about this? This is Euanomous Elatus. Look at that, it's lovely. You don't have to say anything about that colour or that vibrancy, it's just a splash of drama and it speaks for itself. As does the maples. I never come along this little path very often, but there's all sorts of bloody old Carex pendula there. Get rid of that bastard. Sorry, it's a very nice plant in the wild. Look at it, look, there's seedlings of it everywhere. Bloody thing. It wants to be by rivers or something like that. Preferably in them. I'm being very disparaging about that plant. Yeah, look at that, there's another maple. I wish I could remember what one it is. It might be Beniotaki, just not sure. Whatever, that's another splash of redness. And just a quick look back. Here we looked at this last week, this Perennials. But again, it's starting to change. The Stuartia is losing its leaves, but you know, as one thing loses its colour, another one gains it. That over there was a seedling I got accidentally, and it's called Colreteria. I'll have to put a caption on. Colreteria paniculata, or golden rain or tree, I think. I don't really know much about it. It came in a load of delphinium seed, and I thought that's the funniest bloody delphinium I've ever seen, and I just grew it up and that's what it turned out to be. I like things like that. It's amusing. The old beech worries me. You can see there's lots of fungus now around the base. You just don't know. Look, there's a bracket fungus there. It's such an old tree. Huh. It's almost like an elephant, isn't it? Just bigger. You can see the size compared to that little dog.
Well, Poetry Corner finds me today sitting under what is probably the king of all the trees in the garden, and it's this ancient copper beech tree. Oh, we don't know who planted it or precisely when, but we know it's probably over 450 years old, and actually it's in better shape than most of us, and will probably be here a lot longer than most of us. The poem that somebody's asked for today is from a gentleman called David Nichols. Asked if we could perhaps read this one out, and it's about planting trees. I've never seen this poet before. He's called Felix Dennis, and he's an English poet, 20th century poet, and these words are so nice. I'm going to go off and explore some of the other poetry that he's written, but I'll read this one and see what you think. Whosoever plants a tree winks at immortality. Woodland cherries, flowers ablaze, hold no hint of human praise. Hazels in a hidden glade give no thought to stake or spade. London plains in Georgian squares count no patrons in their prayers. Seed and sapling seek no cause. Bark and beetle shun applause. Leaf and shoot know naught of debt. Twig and root are dumb. And yet choirs of songbirds greet each day with eulogies, as if to say, whosoever plants a tree winks at immortality.
Right, the important thing, this is the old leaf mould. Now this was filled up to the top of the wire a couple of years back. You can see that it's degraded right down. What we need to do is take off any loose leaf off the top, just rake it back from the area we're going to use, and then you get your spade, you want a nice flat spade, and you want to chop down. Can you get up
I'm
closer?
just trying to fall over.
You just chop down like you're cutting through a sandwich. And although it looks like it's coming off in chunks, it actually, if you just grate it like that, look at that, beautiful stuff. It is just perfect. What Elizabeth is using it for, if you go, see if I can get this. There, you can see the...
Is it a beech? Is it beech?
Yeah, beech takes a bit longer, but you can see the strata there where it's...
It's that piney needly stuff takes a bit longer. Sorry, I'm not...
Yeah, but it's worry about that. It's perfectly good stuff, and is a fantastic addition to composts and things.
You can do it in a plastic bag, can't you, or something, if you don't have
Yeah,
to
but you have to be very careful with plastic bags, because the stuff can putrefy rather than break down, which means it goes sort of slimy.
So you have to put holes in it, don't you?
Yeah. So we need to use a nice flat spade so that you can actually feel it. When it goes down, you can feel it cut through. Now you listen to this. You can just feel that beautiful layers of leaf mould, and what could be more natural than using old leaves that should normally go back into the earth. It's a really resourceful material. It drives me crackers. It really fucks me off when people burn leaves. It's completely the wrong thing to do. The only time I would do it is if they've got some sort of serious disease. Then you want a shovel and just cut down into what you'll have seen me do this a couple of years ago when we made the clamps. We made one last year on another video in the churchyard, and it's just such beautiful stuff. As I say, Elizabeth is using it for top dressing, top dressing trilliums, and they just love it. You could also use it on hellebores as well. It is such a good topper for pots because very little weed growth grows into it, and if you just, and you can get it out. Obviously you're going to find bits of twig in there, don't worry about that. And the thing is, people say, well, it's got fungus and things in it. If a plant can't stand a bit of naturally occurring fungus, then there's something wrong with the plant.
Some are good, aren't they?
Yeah, there are very beneficial funguses, and a lot of funguses used, the mycorrhizal funguses, are used to promote root growth.
So will this have mycorrhizals?
Yeah.
So.
But look at that, it's just...
Like, you're still not quite at the bottom there, are you?
No.
If you can't, I don't know, you can't really tell. It's easy.
And you can see, within a couple of minutes, we've got a lovely big tub. There's about 100 litres of this in here. I'm not going to lift it on my own. Elizabeth's going to help me, so we'll finish filming because I don't want to bust my bollocks. Not that I've got much use for them, but I don't fancy the pain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just checking I'm not going to get run over. It's got these beautiful berries. It's just outside the gardens, but you can see it poking up over the wall. This is a wall. And it looks like it's flowering. It's a really, really beautiful tree. So Sorbus Vilmarinii. Let me get run over again.
Look at that. 2 nice tubs of leaf mould going round to the potting shed. This will beautifully top dress a load of our pots. Stop weed growth, keep moisture in. Nothing could be finer. And we've got now a good hole here where we've dug it out of. And now we can stand in that as we slice it down. You can see, again, where it's in situ, you can see the striations of the leaves. One thing I would say about leaf mould is that some leaves take longer to break down. Beech and oak take twice as long probably as things like sycamore or acer, you know, the Norwegian maple, that sort of thing. So you would need to leave that a little bit longer. Ideally, in an ideal world, you would have 2 clamps, one for all the quick breaking down leaves and one for the more fibrous ones that take longer to break down. It's just such a good thing to do, and it's tidy, and it's free, and it's recycling in its most sensible form, really. We can when I was a gardener, we used to top dress all of the herbaceous borders with this every year, just around all the plants. And not only did they look nice, this goodness went back in around your plants. You just cannot not use it. I hope that makes sense. I'm not sure that does actually, but you know what I mean. There you go. That's my excitement about leaf mould. I'm knackered now. And in the potting shed, what's going on?
I'm working through the trillions of trilliums. I almost make you racket. Sorry. This is dark red parent. These from the start have always been very strong compared to some of the others for whatever reason. They just tend to have been particularly good thingamajiggers. I am taking quite a lot of the top off, about to the top of the rhizome thing. Some have one. This is a really nice one. That's got a good amount of.
Yeah, you're coming up to year 9 with these now.
Right, so I'll just do one now. We'll do this nice one. It's getting filled up to that plastic bit. And we're getting some leaf mould. Can't see any today. Just crumpling that up and filling it to about the top. It'll sink a bit with time.
They love that leaf mould.
That's about it.
Excellent, thank you. It's not very exciting, is it, really?
No.
But these 12-year-old plants, not 12 years old, 9-year-old plants, they're worth a tenner each, and we have quite a lot of them.
Right, switched on. What the heck are you doing, Malcolm?
So what we're doing here, as I've already explained, is making some Hypertufa Troughs. These are like, as I showed you in an earlier video, they're like stone troughs, but stone troughs are extremely expensive if you can get hold of them. And so we mix it in here. This is just the...
Oh, I've only just seen that. This is serious.
So all we're doing there is just mixing up the ingredients, which are pine bark, cement and sand, but it has to be a river sand. The trick with it is not to have the stuff too wet. You cannot shape it and shape your chicken wire in any shape you want. This one I'm doing just in a sort of pear drop shape, but we'll make the top rigid. This is going to be more of a round one. Primarily you can use them for alpines, they're excellent. You can make a chicken wire frame. This is an old mushroom thing. You can use those and just put them round. Unfortunately they come out a little bit square looking.
This one looks a little bit like a urinal.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the old bedpans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Amanda. You fuck off now. These are yeah, so we're just going to build up some ridges so that it doesn't look too uniform, and it looks like it's been hewn out of stone. It's really very important. And of course, what you also need to do is to put some drainage holes in them. Otherwise, for that, you can use. It's also important to use gloves because the stuff is Well, the can's a bit of a mess. We're just going to pop this through here. You just find your way through the wire.
Do you have to bake it?
No. And you can use a piece of wooden dowel or whatever. But it's important to get a hole in there, or you're not going to get any drainage. We usually just put something in and then just leave it there. It'll be all right. And then we can knock that out at the end and put another one in here.
I'm just coming in for a closer look.
Really, you should put them in beforehand. Is quite useful. But you just twist it round. There's a wire base on these, so that's a bit of a hassle. We just put them in there like that. They can stay probably too long, because what we're going to do is, when we finish this, is put a bit of plastic sheeting over the top of it, and we'll leave it for about, I don't know, 7 days, and then we'll come back and we'll put some patterning on it. We'll get a wire brush, or we'll just make some ridges in it to make it look more natural. Another good thing that you often see when they use tools on stone troughs, you often see little square things in them where you can just simulate that so that it doesn't look contrived and pretend. I'll put one in there.
We can enter this into an art competition.
Well, you're not the only arty folk, is there?
No.
We're just gonna.
I think this has got the Turner Art Prize written all over it.
You see the thing is, with these middle class posh arty farty types, they get very snotty. They don't like other people doing arty stuff because they like to do it all themselves.
Au contraire, I am beyond impressed by this arty urinal.
So, and you can just do that. And that's and what we'll do afterwards is we'll give it a brush up with a wire brush. All of this can go back in and go on to the next one.
Have you got one already that you've done that's planted?
Yeah, I'll show you in a minute.
Alright.
There we go. So we'll leave those. We'll leave that one now. That's about as far as I want to go. And yeah, there's one outside here that's empty, ready for planting.
I'm following you.
I did this one about 20 years ago. When I was younger, and before I came here, we wanted to earn some money to pay for the house. That I used to make these in the front room. Yeah, there's one.
Oh, that's so good.
And there, that's another one.
I'm just going to have a quick sked at this one. That genuinely looks like old rock or stone, doesn't it?
And that's one we sometimes use polystyrene fish boxes, which you can just put wire over the top. And I'll show you how to do that as well, maybe next week. Because I'm going to be spending most of the winter making these. I intend to make about 50.
I want one.
Well, you can, but I've charged you twice because you're being double cheating.
Thanks, Malcolm.
Another thing that gets overlooked for autumn colour is the climbing hydrangea. This one's not fully turned yet, but you can see that it goes this lovely sort of chrome yellow colour. It's nice. You know, sometimes people say, oh, I would like a nice climber on my wall, but I'd like it to be evergreen. I do not understand the obsession with evergreen. You very rarely see the changing of the colour and the heart of the plant, the tapestry of branches, the trunk. There, look, it's just turning. We are going to have to trim it out from going over the guttering, but I really hammered this one back, not this winter just gone, the winter before. And I mean, I think there's a video on it. It was a real hammering because it hadn't been done. And I think next year It hasn't really flowered much this year because it had that hammering. But this next year, I think it will flower magnificently. And when they do flower magnificently, they are fantastic. But it is not. You see, in here you've got lovely old mature branches, and through the winter, yeah, it's got no leaves on it. It's winter. You know, give the plant a rest. You want a load of green? Get some fucking plastic one or something. I do not understand the obsession with evergreen. It's the worst thing I've ever had to deal with in nursery work. I know people like it, or so many of them are so boring. And I'm not that keen on lawns either. But there you go. We're all different. Now, if you could just explain what you're doing, please, Clara. Well, it's pretty obvious, really, isn't it?
I'm just quickly trimming these hollies. So just make them like nice ball shape. So these are male hollies. They don't produce any berries. And they're Hedgehog Holly.
Yeah, they're
really spiky.
Yeah, a lot of the prickles are on the top of the leaf. Can you see there?
Mm.
Like on the back, like it was a hedgehog back.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're nice. Yeah,
So
but they have to be done every year. So
they
there you go.
I just really trim most of the just a little bit. See, that's what piece I've taken off all on the ground here, and there's a few like longer bits just popping out. So put those back.
It just helps them bush out when they start breaking away. You know.
Yeah, so you just trim most of the...
You take off this terminal shoot here, and then next year they bush out from the leaf axils below, so you get a denser head. All right.
And make sure you wear gloves.
Yeah,
You don't
make
want to
sure
be
you wear
spiked
gloves.
with holly.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on then, what are you doing?
I am trimming these hollies. Round two.
Thank you.
So I've already quickly trimmed this holly.
Yes.
So just trimming the holly. No, right. Okay.
Come on then. Tell us what you're doing.
I'm just trimming these hollies.
People are watching this, they're clinging on your every word. So make sure it's intelligent.
I am trimming them with my secateurs. So Malcolm told me to trim these hollies just like I'm trimming my pubes as you do. So you want to make sure you do them carefully and just, just take like little growlers like this one. Tender growlers.
Little growlers.
Like coming out your bikini bottom. Even though I haven't had
Can we
any
do
like
this
that,
sensibly?
because I keep mine trimmed.
That's it, I'm turning this off.